Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with mixed media illustrator and creator JDubs. He is known best for being the creator of Bolt Voltage, Out of Sync, a post-apocalyptic graphic novel that explores emotional awakening through the eyes of a curious robot. Bolt Voltage helps creatives and dreamers reconnect with wonder by blending storytelling, art, and community. It all started for him during COVID, and it's intensified since. He's got a wonderfully refreshing story. Enjoy this interview. Hey, man, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today, John.
Joe, I appreciate you having me on the show. What's going on?
Not too much. Where are you located on the planet?
Where am I located? I reside in the state of New Jersey currently.
Okay. All right.
Yep, the East Coast.
Right on. Well, I'm in the middle of America. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So it's great to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting into your life as a mixed media illustrator and a creator. Your graphic novel sounds wonderful. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. And speaking of post-apocalyptic, 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging. We were trying to figure it out. Now that we've come out of it, ultimately, how much of surviving that pandemic has influenced your work and the way that you roll today?
So this whole art journey started when I was in high school. I didn't really like doing like books and stuff, but as far as the post-apocalyptic part goes, my biggest part of my art push and journey started at the height of COVID because right at the height of COVID, I lost my retail job, and my wife, working in the hospital as a first responder, actually got taken out by COVID and was put on disability. She's been on disability since. So it changed our life drastically. We went from having two incomes in the house to having unemployment and workman's compensation covering our bills. And I started my art business selling, acrylic paintings on glass and canvas, online and in-person shows as much as I possibly could. And then slowly kind of came back to my, as I said, high school illustration roots, started working on more drawings than just paintings. And it's kind of just been a broad spectrum art journey that started off as a chance for a money grab and has turned into something much more meaningful. It's no longer a source of income for me. It's who I am. It's become who I am.
So let's get a handle on what you're doing right now. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids. Let's say fifth graders, career day. Kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer him?
Well, Mikey, I am an illustrator. I draw. I take things that are in my brain and I put them on paper or canvas or any way to possibly create. This way, other people can appreciate my process. And if I can show someone how to feel while I'm doing that, then my work has even more meaning. I like to show people how they can step outside of the normal box of what they're used to, and they can find comfort in the uncomfortable.
So when you were in the fifth grade, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream?
Oh God, in fifth grade, I think I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, honestly, because that was when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were big. But as far as when I grew up, like, everyone was like, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut. Oh, I want to be the president." I just kind of wanted to draw. I was really enamored by the Star Wars universe, and science fiction kind of ruled my world. So I always kind of wanted to do something with science fiction in some way, shape, or form. And lo and behold, my book has brought me to that.
So take me back to your childhood. What were some early influences? Where were you born and raised? What were some influences that ultimately led to you becoming a creator?
Born in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, raised in New Brunswick for the first decade of my life. My parents split up when I was very young in kindergarten, and they stayed married but lived in separate households for the next 20 years of my life. So my upbringing was very simple. It was that of a child who lives in a split household. Mom has her life, dad has his life, and I visited both households at their designated times. Extra holiday stuff, um, you know, want dad to be there, dad can't be there, want mom to be there, mom can't be there. A lot of just going through the motions of trying to figure out, was it my fault at the time? I didn't realize that that's what I was doing then, but now looking back on it, as a kid, all of that really kind of modeled what happening in my life. And my parents, great role models, just they showed me that sometimes relationships don't work.
So, who's been kind of an inspiration? Who's been kind of a hero for you?
Honestly, I would say my mom and my dad, because my father, financially independent, continuously pushed himself to learn. Um, he's he's the guy that went to school for accounting and got mad when he couldn't take a class bigger than calculus because there wasn't any more math for him to learn. So he was that guy, and that is not who I am at all. But I imagine that's a way to be. Like my father really loved academics. My mother, on the other hand, my mother did the whole single mother thing, and she showed me that there's strengths that a person can hold when you are doing something for the person that you love. Because my mother made some sacrifices for me that I didn't know about then. But now that I'm 41 years old, we've had some seriously deep conversations about the things that happened growing up, and it's amazing to see what a parent can do for their child when they don't want their kid to know that things are tough.
So, if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating that might help you on your journey, who would you love to meet and talk to?
Oh my God. So ironically, through my world lately, been on social media, reaching out to a lot of people. I've met a lot of cool people, but I think one of the most interesting creators slash artists that's currently existing in our space is Stuart Semple. He has a website, Culture Hustle, and I have purchased a couple other paints. And he is one of the original, from my notions, he's one of the original creators of the very popular Vanta Black ultra matte black paint that negates all light. Um, and I've watched his content. It's just he's kind of got a very odd brain, and I think that if I could sit in a room with him for an hour and me and him could work on a project, there could be some very, very interesting art that happens. He's weird like I am, but in different ways.
So, what is it ultimately that gets you up every day to do the work, to create, to be who you are, to take care of your soul? What is that for you every day that motivates you?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's motivated in the morning by one thing, and that's coffee. But
Yeah.
aside from that, aside from the coffee, um, I it's a stupid YouTube sound that's going around right now where I do this for the fans, I do this for the follows. I don't. I do it for me. Um, I started off doing it for the fans, doing it for the follows. I chased clout, tried to become Jimmy Fallon famous, and then I realized that that's not my destiny. But I do have something to say, and people will listen to me because a comedian once said that if you speak slowly and confidently, people will listen. I started doing that online. And when I started doing that online, people started connecting with my art more. And I think that's why I wake up because the way I have engaged with the world on the internet and the way they have reacted to the art that I'm creating right now, that's what drove me to write the book because it just started as this robot that I'm doing a book about started off as an art project while my wife was on vacation. I was very depressed. And the original image was the robot under an umbrella under a very dark acidic rain. I did a acrylic paint pour over the painting. Um, and the emotion in that one just hit with my audience immediately, and everyone started asking for more of that robot, and more of that robot wanted to know his story. And then it turned into let's write a book about him.
So, talk to me a little bit about the book. Give everybody out there kind of an overview, a flavor for them to go and get this book.
So, like I said, this is a post-apocalyptic setting, and Bolt is a maintenance robot. So the concept of the book is that mankind has ceased to exist on the planet. I don't address the fact that people have died. I just say that we have left the Earth and we left it to the robots with one task to track the healing process of the planet. So when somebody comes for answers, there are some. So that's your basic your foundation. Okay, he's going to be the book is going to be him walking around, but in the middle of his journey that we're covering in this, his origin story, something happens when he visits a botanical garden, and he becomes overwhelmed by data, and that data trying to process creates a glitch in his software, and in doing so sparks a singularity. He creates life almost like in the 1980s classic Short Circuit. One of my favorite movies growing up, and that's why I kind of chose the way Bolt looks a little bit. At least his head is a giant cube square, looks like a car stereo, because I loved that character growing up. And so he is going to, and then he starts feeling emotions. And now a robot trying to process human emotions in more than just an explanation process, like actually feeling them, it was a hard concept to try and wrap my head around. We live in a world where AI has become very helpful tools for artists, writers, and just everyday Joes. So I started asking chatbots about emotions and started having conversations with robots, making them try to emulate emotions, and using those responses I got from the chatbots to gauge how Bolt would move forward each page.
So, if I put you in front of an audience of people that know you professionally and you could tell them one fun story about you, something that would humanize you a little bit, what would you tell that group?
Hmm. So one of my most humanizing moments, I would say, is probably, oh God, when I met my wife. Um, I was I was in a car accident about 15, 20 years ago. Actually, more than, no, 20, 25 years ago. Um, Lost my left eye mostly. It's still, the eye is still there, but it's 2100. I took a piece of glass in my eye, an inch and a half long and an inch deep. And that story was a tough one because, again, I'm a visual artist. At the time, I wasn't even doing art that much, but you know, to lose your sight in your eye, it was devastating, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I fell into a deep depression, downward spiral, and one of my friends noticed that. My friend Tom came over, picked me up, and said, "Hey, we're gonna go out for a little bit. I'm working on a song with the band, and I need your help. You're a really good writer." So we went to his house, and for band practice, my wife and her friend actually showed up at that band practice, and they were just having a bad day. Um, she had problems at work, and she was just looking to blow off some steam. So I thought she was cute and started talking to her. And, my friend happened to have boxing gloves there. Like, if you want to, spar, I'll let you beat me up a little bit. Just don't hit me in the face. Don't hit me below the belt. You know, I won't hit you back. And that's exactly what happened. And, that's how she's kind of opened up to me a little bit, and we kind of got to know each other. And then we started going on dates after that because I just stupidly allowed her to hit me. But, you know, that was how I met my wife, and that's kind of how everything has started since then. Because I wouldn't be where I am. She has supported every business move I've made since we've gotten together. She helped me decide to write this book. So I would say that's probably the most humanizing moment I have. Losing my sight, meet my wife.
So let me ask you this: if you have a dream tonight and you run into a 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained over the years, what advice would you give your younger self?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Any advice I gave my 18-year-old self now would alter every single thing. The wind off the wing of a butterfly can change so much that yeah, okay, so if I gave him advice, would I lose my eye? Maybe not, but I might have lost an arm, you know? So I don't think I give myself any advice. I think I would just say do what feels right,
It's a great answer.
because that's the best advice you can give yourself, because you don't know what's right until after you've done it. You are who you are, Joe, because when you were 8 years old, you made a mistake,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm the same way I am. I made a mistake at 8 year old too, and now I'm here. But the point
To-
is we're still here.
totally get it. So, of everything that you've done, accomplished, evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
My kids,
Yeah.
art fades. Channels, they fall to the darkness. But hopefully, long from now, when I'm dead, my children are going to go forward and they're going to make an impact in the world too. If it's a small one, it's a small one. If it's a big one, it's a big one. But the point is, at the end of the day, my masterpieces are walking around and they're doing their work. while I'm doing mine.
So everyone out there has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, readers, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I am a friggin' mess, Joe. I am a mess. Well, so I'm not great at finance. My wife is my finance specialist. Okay. Um, School was not my forte. I was the lower percentile of my class. I actually was in a program. They thought because of my GPA and my low engagement in class, they thought I was going to drop out. Not the case. I graduated, barely, but I graduated. And I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there.
You're fine.
So yeah, I need to readdress the question.
No, you're good. No, you hit it. No, you were just talking about, school and graduating and school being difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it was school was difficult, and I didn't enjoy school. I enjoyed being in school, but I didn't enjoy the academia of it, and uh, that's who I was. I was the kid who fell asleep in class and liked to doodle in the notebooks. Notebook checks were always a nightmare for me because I never had the answers. I never took notes, and that's just that's who I always was growing up. My perception of myself now, I'm a little stronger. I walk with my head on shoulders that kind of keep your head on a swivel because you never know what's going to happen. I kind of live my life in a constant state of fear of my death now, also, which is kind of fueling the book. It's one of the things that I was in treatment for until I recently lost insurance, and now I don't have a therapist anymore because I'm waiting for my insurance to kick back in. Another reason why I put myself into the book because knowing I was losing my insurance, I needed something to therapize myself, and turning myself into a robot in a story and using my trauma and the stuff I learned in therapy to try and teach people how to treat themselves, I feel was a tool that I could bring in. So my perception started off very weak in myself, and now I find myself to be more of a pillar of a community that I'm trying to build.
So if anyone wants to pick up the graphic novel, they want to reach out, see your work, any of the good business, where do they go?
Well, they would go to jdubsarts.com, JDubsarts.com. That's my website. That is the home site for all of my art, as well as anything Bolt Voltage currently. We're going to be putting the book link on there as soon as the book launches, but currently the book is in post production right now. So we will be launching officially for retail outlets May 26th. I'm doing an early release later this month at Super Jersey Comic Expo. The three guys that run that have actually offered me a nice little spot in their artist alley, and they're giving me a good email blast to advertise me as my book's first official launch. And um, that is the main place. You can also find me on all of my socials: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram and Twitter is all at JDubsArts. You can even find my personal page if you're interested in the author himself, John the Wandzilak. And I mean, I post about everything on all of those. So any merch I have coming out, I have new keychains we just got in from a laser engraving friend I have. For the Comic Con we have coming up, I spent the last 2 weeks painting sensory rocks to add as an offer as an upsell for a lower cost than my book. Just trying to market everything possible. So all my socials and my website. That's the best way to see Bolt Voltage. Still working on that Google search optimization.
Very cool. This has been wonderful. John, thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Continued success. I appreciate it.
Joe, thank you for the time, and you have a wonderful day.
You too.
I anticipate seeing the podcast soon.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit JoeDimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.